Hello. Well, this video is a bit different to the kind of thing I would normally do. It's just a video of a bike ride with me droning on periodically, and the objective of the video is to show anyone considering using a bike or an e-bike as a way to commute, to give them an impression of what the reality of it's like. I've just finished tutoring a client in a place called Wootton, which is about 5 miles from where I live in Bedford. What I'm riding is a Dawes City Boost. It's a purpose-built electric bike, so it's a bit heavily engineered, it's heavy, and it's got the maximum legal power you can have in the UK, which is 250 watts. I just use it in throttle mode, which just means there's a throttle and you can put in as much power as you want up to the maximum, or leave it at no power and cycle on your own. This particular bike is limited to 13.5 miles an hour in powered mode, so it won't provide power if you go faster than that. The legal requirement is that it should be limited to 15, but for some reason this bike is a little bit conservative. But anyway, you can go as fast as you want, but it won't help you above 13.5 miles an hour. I had a couple of motives for taking this step. The first one, frankly, is that the car failed its MOT and wasn't worth fixing. And the second one was that with it being summer, I thought I might see if this could work well with a view to losing a bit of fat, losing a bit of weight, getting a bit fitter. And I suppose the third reason, which links to the sort of stuff I normally do, I'm fascinated with electric power, with the whole Elon Musk thing going on, and lithium-ion batteries and solar and all that stuff. So this offers me a route to tinker with an electric vehicle, which is something that fascinates me. This journey is being filmed on a Yecam action cam, cheap alternative to the GoPro series of cameras, and it's doing a good job here, but the noise that you hear is very disproportionate to what you hear as a rider of the bike. The gear is what that clicking noise is the derailleur gear. It's an index gearing system and it's really loud. It's not like that in person. And the other thing is the whining of the motor, which again seems far louder. I guess it's coming through the frame. This is not the experience you get when riding the bike. You're almost unaware of the motor when you're riding it. Another reason for buying an e-bike instead of an ordinary bike, which would have given me more exercise, well, there are several components to that. Firstly, I'm knocking on a bit and I'm not that fit, so I wanted to have some assistance available if I needed it as a kind of added security. Secondly, I need to arrive at the client in a fairly good mood, not exhausted and not smelling too bad. And thirdly, I wanted to be able to extend the range that I could reasonably visit. So for those reasons, an e-bike offers all the advantages. You can scale the exercise you get. You can leave the motor entirely off, or if you're buggered, to use a technical term, and fed up, you can just say, screw this, electric motor, do your thing. I imagine the first thing most people feel when they ride a bicycle for the first time in ages is a bit like swimming for the first time in ages. It's this miserable experience. Your bum bones hurt, your neck hurts, your shoulders hurt, your wrists go numb, and you think, sod that, that's not going to happen, I'm not going to do that. But you need to understand that those things go away. The ache in your bum bones just goes away, period. The ache in your neck and wrists is almost certainly due to the fact that the bike is not adjusted properly for you. So that just disappears, and after a while all that's left is the moderate effort that's required, which, as I said, on an e-bike is somewhere between 0 and what you choose. So strong headwinds, you can turn them off with this bike. Moderate inclines, you can turn them off with this bike. So it gives you all the flexibility that you could hope for. So as I'm cycling along here, I'm not thinking, God, this is miserable. I'm not out of breath, I'm not panting horribly. I'm choosing how much effort I put in. I'm always pedalling, not always pedalling, but almost always pedalling. You can see the movement of the bike, that's me pedalling. It's really rather a nice experience. In fact, it's not just not too bad, it's something I look forward to. And there are all sorts of reasons why. I mean, you seem to engage a lot more with the surroundings. You're not in a box closed off from the world. You can choose the speed you want to a far larger degree than you can do when you're driving a car. You can look around you at the scenery. You don't have to be quite so engaged with the road as when you're shacking along at 50. So it's a more relaxed experience. You get the moderate exercise, so you get some endorphin stuff going on. You get to feel virtuous. Of course, you're saving money with no tax, no insurance, no MOT bastard garages, and so on. And there's the eco-friendly side of things, no pollution, carbon neutral, and the pence it takes in electricity to move from A to B is hardly worth considering, although a lot of people don't realise that the batteries can be quite expensive, and they're not necessarily eco-friendly to make. Regarding batteries, I'm quite looking forward to doing the old laptop battery salvage and make my own battery pack stuff, so that's an attraction for me. But yeah, the experience of riding the bike is way above neutral. I actively enjoy doing this, and it's part of the pleasure of my life. So not only will I see a client I like to work with and get the feeling that I'm doing a good job for them and that they know it and that we all know it, and that's good, I also get to enjoy the cycling commute, weather permitting. By the way, we're starting to see some misting on the right hand side of this video frame, and that's because condensation is building up in the action camera's housing. If anyone knows how to get around that, I'd be interested to know. Another big surprise for me is how fast it is. It's often just a few minutes slower, and it's often faster, sometimes a lot faster. There's one commute I do which is 15 minutes faster on a bike, and it's always the same commute because traffic is not such an unknown. You can generally whip through traffic either because you're bypassing it, as I am here going down this underpass, or because you can filter through to the front, which is legal and when done safely is no concern at all. I bought the bike second hand on eBay and it was 350 quid, which seemed like a good deal at the time. Well, I have to say I was somewhat done by the bloke that sold it to me. The bike had been previously, the battery has been stolen and smashed off, and it now means it has a non-standard battery of unknown provenance on it. It's got no battery management system on it, so it's potentially unsafe, but I know what to do about that and how to mitigate the risks. And of course you have to buy a helmet, a fluorescent jacket. I'm not a spandex man, no shit, but and also waterproof trousers for when it really does rain dreadfully. So probably 400 quid all in. But if I was doing it again, I wouldn't do it that way. I would add an e-bike kit to an existing bike, to a donor bike, and be able to do the same thing for a couple of hundred quid. I think one of the main disadvantages is cars. Some car drivers, not most, not many, but some, drive astonishingly close, really terrifyingly close, and that's death if it goes wrong. So that's not to be taken lightly. I try to stay off the roads when I can, but sometimes the paths are dreadful and they really cut down your speed. I've got some other ideas as to how to mitigate that risk. One is staying off the road, and I do that when I can, although I'm not doing it here. As you see, the path on the left, firstly it's not legal for bikes, and secondly it's a miserable gravel strewn, leaf strewn path which disappears periodically, so it's not really very safe. High-vis jacket, check. I'm thinking of getting some, well actually I have some car horns, I haven't fitted them yet, so they can make a hell of a noise, but they do take about 15 amps, so there's some technical stuff to be done there. And I already have some indicator bars on the back and front of the bike, and I'm thinking of adding maybe an ultrasonic sensor that can tell when a car is approaching fast and close and will do something alarming on that rear indicator panel, maybe flash some lights to warn cars off. There's some statistic that I think 16% 90% of car drivers just don't actually see a car they just passed. I don't really understand that. But anyway, that's a problem. So right here, for example, there's no power being used, it's just me on a bike. And that will carry on until I get a bit further along here where there's a long gradual hill, which for me is misery on the knees, at least at this stage of my fitness. You can just switch the hill off by turning the throttle on, it's magical. It's difficult to describe or to understand why, but the kind of attention that's needed to ride a bike safely, it has a different quality to the attention needed to drive a car safely. It's perfectly possible to be dangerous and kill yourself on a bike, of course, perhaps even more possible than in a car. But there's more time for reflection. It's closer to jogging somehow than it is to driving, and I don't think it's just about the physical effort, it's about the pace of things. Actually, this is just showing me what it's probably about. It's that there are long stretches where there's nothing much to do except keep doing what you're doing, which is pedalling. You know, you have to cultivate a kind of do nothing and be okay with doing nothing patience. It's a bit zen. The reason I wasn't on the cycle path for that stretch, by the way, is that I was moving at the same speed as the traffic, and so I felt I wasn't holding anyone up and could go faster than I safely can on the cycle path for that kind of reason. The pedestrians, the hidden entrances mean that you can't go as fast. So I wouldn't normally do that if the presence of the bike would be slowing down cars. You know, I am a driver as well as a cyclist, and cyclists can certainly be as bigger arseholes as anyone else. But I'm back on the cycle path now, and I'll be dipping into a thing called Addison Park in a moment. Whee! Here we go. I love this park. It's pretty. It's sensationally entertaining and rewarding. If you're a tiny-minded idiot like me, I guess, but it's really fun. It's feels like flying. It's nicer than a car by considerable. And if you look at the cars, I'm not sure if there are any. No, we are going slower than the cars. Coming the other direction between Bedford and Kempston at 4 p.m. the commute from Bedford is hideous, and you could probably walk it quicker. So cycling along this track, seeing all the cars sitting stationary, you know, is a real indication of why cycle commuting can sometimes be a no-brainer. think there's a lot of work to be done by councils in making cycle tracks even more available and superior. This is a good one. You can spend most of the time between Bedford and Kempston off the road. We're still sharing these paths with pedestrians, which is, okay, but it's not ideal. Some people ride their bikes like maniacs in the presence of pedestrians and small children and old folks, and that's not safe. It's not as dangerous as playing in the road, but it's not safe. I suppose another reason it's a bit zen-like is that, at least for the moment, I can't have the radio on, and I'll probably leave it that way. We're about to dig down into another level of seclusion away from the roads. This is, we're dipping down to a cycle track that runs next to a river, which is rather lovely. Over the river. It's tracks like this that let you learn very quickly that you need a pair of wraparound glasses, not because they're cool, but because flies get in your eyes, and that's dangerous and painful and inconvenient and boring. And actually that was another £22, I think, so add that to the budget. Now you do get the odd unusual character down here, some pot smokers, and on certain days of the week there's a crowd of about 15 gents on bikes with cans of beer, Eastern European of some sort, but they're very friendly, very social. I just get a warm glow from those people, so I just shoot through at a respectable speed, nod and smile. You can't see, but I'm looking around. There's train sidings and parking areas on the left. There's swans and ducks on the river on the right. And I need to dismount here to go under a bridge, which is a very odd compromise. You have to crouch down to walk under it. under a major road in an instant, so much nicer than coming up, waiting for the traffic, which can take an age. It's just such a nicer experience. It's chalk and cheese. Nice view of the River Ouse there through the condensation haze in the camera, unfortunately. The Star Rowing Club is coming up on the left. This is a new development, riverside development that's happening in Bedford. And again, it's the sort of thing you can, if you're of a nosy disposition, and that's certainly me, you can have a good old beak around at your leisure, something you can't really do in a car. God damn it, having to wait for traffic. Outrageous. That in fact was I think the first time I've had to wait for traffic. We're on the home stretch now, I'll leave you in a moment. I hope you found that interesting. If you didn't, I hope you stopped watching it really early on. If you're looking for more like this, then subscribe. Thanks for watching.